across Northern Ireland this evening, and we continue to monitor this very carefully. And I understand that last night's attempted murder will leave people feeling enraged with emotions from fear to anger. But please, please, let the PSNI, let the police do their job, unfettered and undistracted by wider concerns there may be about disorder. In August 2024 and June of 2025, we saw disturbances in Northern Ireland that benefited no one. Those disturbances resulted in damage to our own communities and the criminalising of our own young people. Do not let people who know nothing about Northern Ireland impact on the behaviours of our people in Northern Ireland from afar through social media. Remember the actions, forgive me, of those members of the public. They truly define our society in Northern Ireland. They saved a man's life last night. Do not let the actions of that man impact on any further harm to anybody else in Northern Ireland. Let us do our job. Act responsibly. Do not let anybody be subject to any further criminal investigation because of what happened last night. Let the criminal justice course take its course. I think we're now happy to take questions. So if I go first with regards to legal status. So I think lawyers will debate the legal status of this individual for weeks, months and maybe even years to come. There was nothing to prevent that individual from coming into this country, and he sought leave to remain through his asylum application. His status when he crossed that border is still undetermined by us, but it's something that we'll be looking at and will come out in the fullness of time.
Yeah, I think I agree with the Chief Constable. I think that people shouldn't jump to assumptions. We don't have the full picture here, so I think that's important to say. I think for today, the main focus of all of us, certainly collectively, standing here together today, is to appeal for calm. It's also to ensure that we reflect where we know people are, because I think people are feeling fearful, people are feeling angry, people are feeling a bag of emotions about what they have witnessed over the course of yesterday evening and into this morning. But my message today is one of calm, and don't allow those people that don't care about people here to incite hatred, to incite fear. Don't allow those people who are faceless to orchestrate campaigns and on the streets. I think that is something that I would want to underline from today's press conference.
First of all, I welcome that the PSNI have communicated a significant amount of detail in relation to the man that has been arrested for this horrendous criminal offence. That is something I think that across the UK, the PSNI and other police forces have learnt. I called this morning whenever I was speaking to the Chief Constable and again in the Chamber for the maximum amount of information to be given to people, because I think people have the right to know. In terms of the information that we have heard thus far, and I accept that there will be more details to come out, but what is clear is that this was a man that went through a number of other safe countries before he came to Northern Ireland. I was on a call just last Wednesday, a UK-wide call on immigration, and I raised both of those key issues. First of all, the issue in relation to the Irish border. We have been aware for some considerable time that there are people coming across the Irish border to claim asylum in Northern Ireland. Those people, very often, we do not know their background, we do not know the routes that they come through, and we do not know if they have any convictions or any history in another jurisdiction. So I raised that issue to the UK Immigration Minister as a concern and asked once again for action on that, because this is not the first time that I have raised that as well. I also raised the issue of those who come to the United Kingdom and subsequently commit offences, that the UK must be able to deport those individuals much more swiftly than they have done thus far. So both of those issues I raised last Wednesday. But I absolutely agree with others here today that what we need today is calm across Northern Ireland, across our communities. Any kind of disorder only serves to wreck our own communities. It doesn't serve any purpose. But I think importantly, people must know that their legitimate concerns and issues are being listened to. Politics must work for the communities we serve. Communities must feel that the protections that are in place are working to keep them safe. And I think that's why people are worried, that's why people are concerned tonight. And the UK Government, and indeed here at the Assembly, we must listen and we must take action.
Well, I think it's very important that we do, as the Chief Constable suggested, and allow this police investigation to take its course. It's very early in that investigation, and there will be further discussions as to how someone came to be here and so on. But irrespective of how they arrived here and what their status was when they were here, what happened last night was horrific and it was unacceptable. And the important thing now is that the police can ensure that all of their focus is on ensuring that this is felt the full force of the law, that it's brought to court and that it's properly litigated in that way. It's important that they are not distracted by other issues in the community, and that's why we're here collectively appealing for calm. We know that people are horrified. We were all horrified. It is a frightening thing to see that unfold online in the way that we did. And of course, if you live in that community or in another community, you will be fearful that the same could happen there. And it is right that we should respond to that. But it is important that in our response, it is about protecting everyone in our community from further harm. And that requires us to do what we have had to do on so many difficult occasions before, to come together, to stay united and to work together as a community to create the kind of safe space that everyone can flourish in, and not to leave people feeling vulnerable. I don't want to see a repeat of this on our streets. I have raised the issue with the Home Office in the past around trafficking, both human trafficking and other trafficking across the border. I've raised it also with Jim O'Callaghan, though it is more for the Home Office to do so. But I recognise that there are challenges when you can travel freely, and what we don't want on either side of the border is to see the common travel area being exploited for ill purposes. We have been clear about that. The important thing, however, now is not to demonise any particular community, any particular group of people, or to put people at risk, because there are many people that I've spoken to already today who are fearful about whether or not they will be safe when they return home, about whether they are safe on public transport and to go about their lives and to go to work and do all the things they normally do. That can't be good either for people who have lived here all their lives or for people who have come to make this their home. So we need to create safe communities where everyone is safe, and that's why we're appealing for calm.
Folks, just to make all aware, I was going to call it 4:40, so we'll just keep going as long as we can. Jane,
afternoon, everyone. Chief Constable, you know what happened from last summer. We previously talked about your figures of concerns about potential summer discontent. Again, in light of what happened last night, how worried are you about that prospect with two ministers? There are members of the minority and ethnic community here who are all listening to this. What can you say to reassure them that your concerns will be about potential retaliation?
So if I begin, obviously I alluded to what we've seen in 2024 and 2025. People who contribute positively to society in Northern Ireland were attacked last year and the year before. The person responsible for this vile attack is in custody. Let the criminal justice process take its course. We have got incredible communities across Northern Ireland. The challenge we face with today's online toxic nature and the inciting of hatred is that that manifests itself by people doing things that they would not ordinarily do. And they are incited by people who are faceless and know nothing about this brilliant, vibrant place. I said earlier, what defined Northern Ireland last night was the reaction of the neighbours of that victim in going to his aid. without any fear for their own safety. That's the Northern Ireland that I know. And I appeal again, and that's why we're all here today, for everybody who is repulsed by what happened last night to understand the person responsible is in custody. Where there are any concerns about immigration, let's have those through a political debate. Let the criminal justice process take its course. And let's just remember that all of our communities in Northern Ireland almost entirely contribute positively to this place, and don't be fooled or duped into a trap by people online inciting awful behaviour.
And just to chime with that very much, I say as First Minister to all of our migrant community that we have no tolerance for sectarianism, for hatred, for division, and to all those people out there that are stoking up tensions, particularly in that social media space, who have no care or interest in the people here but are happy to raise tensions. I say they do not represent us. This is a society that is welcoming, that is inclusive. We are good people. And I said to everybody out there, I don't want to see any person living in fear, and we need to say no to racism, no to hatred, no to sectarianism that is out there in our society. What happened last night was horrific. People need to separate those things out.
Yeah, look, I think people want to have a conversation about immigration. I think communities are very concerned about what is happening. No community wants a dangerous person living within their community. And I do think that people are very frightened about that. That is an entirely separate debate. And I think what we're seeing very often is that frustration from people that their genuinely held concerns are not taken seriously, and there's not the action to follow up to take those issues seriously. And that does, of course, go to the heart of discussions around immigration policy, and particularly discussions around vetting as part of that process. That is entirely separate from issues here in relation to a really genuinely valued part of our community. The people who come here to make Northern Ireland their home, they work in the hospitals, they absolutely hold up our core public services. They are working in our factories and businesses right throughout Northern Ireland. And I speak to those businesses on a regular basis, and I know that they would be completely lost without those hard-working people making such a valuable contribution. Our ethnic minority community in Northern Ireland also make such a valuable contribution to our community life, our cultural life. They are part of our community. And of course, when I say that all communities should be able to feel safe, should they be walking down a street or in their own home or in their workplace, then of course that includes everyone, regardless of your race, regardless of your nationality. So my message today is very clear to our ethnic minority community. You are valued. You are our community. You are part of Northern Ireland, and we will do everything that we can to protect you as well.
Clearly, this is an incident where one individual was responsible. There are many dangerous individuals who live in Northern Ireland who were born here and have lived here all their lives. I grew up at a time in this place where my accent alone would have identified me when I went abroad as a potential threat in an airport or a potential threat in a community, and we were often abused for that. Though we shared nothing in common with those who were involved in that activity, we were all judged to be the same. I don't want that to happen to any person here because of the colour of their skin or their nationality or their background. This person is not representative of a whole community. He is an individual who should be held to account before the law. The only people who will be harmed if there is unrest on our streets are innocent people. The only thing that will be achieved is further victims. And so I'm asking for people to be calm, to be rational at a time when it is easy to be irrational because you're hurt, you're upset and you're angry, and because there are bad faith actors who want to stir trouble. It is not in the interests of anyone in Northern Ireland for us to see our community torn apart in these instances. And I understand that many people from our ethnic minority and foreign national community will be fearful today. They have lived through previous cycles of retribution when someone who happens to be from an ethnic minority background commits a crime. We don't do this for any other group, and we must not do it when it comes to ethnic minorities. One individual doing one awful act is not representative of everyone who lives in Northern Ireland, nor should we allow it to become so. And I would appeal to people to listen to what's been said today. The guilty person, as far as the police are concerned, is in custody. The only people who will be harmed, if there is unrest, will be those who are innocent.
So obviously, it's been alluded to in this press conference around some of the challenges we face in Northern Ireland. We'd already continged for challenges this summer. I was fearful because of what we've seen in the last 2 years that we could see a repetition. And last night's events obviously presents a challenge to us. But by us speaking so clearly now about the negative consequences of anybody doing anything that would result in anybody else being put in any way in danger or facing any harm, I'm hoping that sanity will prevail. And in the last 2 years, we've had so many young people in Northern Ireland whose lives have changed forever because they've gone in the criminal justice system, because we've identified them, we've arrested them, and we've successfully prosecuted them for disorder. Please don't do it. But we have got the resources to deal with this. We have already made contingencies around getting support from elsewhere. This is something that we're used to here. But I again appeal to everybody to please let sanity prevail. Nobody wants to see anything in this incredible place of Northern Ireland other than tranquility and people getting on together. And by the way, Northern Ireland is one of the safest places to live in the United Kingdom. Literally, almost the safest place to live. So let's remember that, and let's show that. And again, let's remember the community spirit here, which was demonstrated very clearly last night by the neighbours of this poor victim.
Quite the monologue there, Doug, and fake news, and on the day that's in it, totally inappropriate. I don't know any country that has open borders. I believe in an immigration system that is fair and managed and enforceable and compassionate and human rights compliant, but that is not the debate for today. The debate today is about our society, about our inclusive society, our welcoming society. Our conversation today is about our thoughts are very much with that gentleman who finds himself a victim of that violent and horrific attack last night. Our thoughts today are about creating calm in our society. So I think the message from here, from this platform, is very consistent, and I have no truck with your fake news.
But you didn't answer the question. What was your reason for the borders to stay?
I have no truck with your fake news. That is?
Oh. So, yeah, let me deal with that. Listen, the PSNI is probably the most transparent, open and accountable police service that there is in the United Kingdom. I would argue on the island of Ireland. We policed Scarva at the weekend. There were no arrests, there were no injuries. And I know there's been some public concern about the policing response, and we are meeting with community and political leaders to understand their perspective and to explain ours. And what we've done in recent years is show this organisation for the brilliant, brilliant police service it is. You will all have watched Peelers. I appeal to you to actually think about that. The officers who will be out there tonight, trying to do their best to provide community reassurance, are the officers that you've seen through that television programme. Ordinary people from across the communities in Northern Ireland trying to make this a better place. We're all in this together, and we must not let other people in any way provoke any activity that we do not want in our communities. So Scarva we will deal with, we'll be open, we'll be transparent, and we'll listen to what people have got to say, and we'll learn if we've got things wrong. But that's for another day. Today is about making sure people understand the consequences if they start to commit criminal acts, and understand the necessity to actually sit down together, work together, be together to make this a better place, and not allow that man last night who committed that crime to have any more infamy than he got from that video last night. Do not give it to him. Let's all behave ourselves, and let's think of the family of that poor victim and the victim himself.
Thank you.